Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry. And today I'd like to talk to you of another video, of another film that I think is severely underrated. However, this film I believe has been kind of talked about in the shadows, mostly in in reviews, in uh, international film organizations, though you don't hear a lot of talk about it here in the U.S. And this film I like to talk about is Burning, uh, directed by Chang Dong Lee. He directed, I think, a film called Secret Sunshine. That's the only film that I would like to see out of his work. I would like to see all of his filmography. To be honest, I don't really like the plot synopsis. It kind of just tells you what the overall story without trying to make it simple. Um, and this is the best way I could explain the story. I'm going to try to explain it two ways. The simplest way as possible and the overall story that it kind of reads on IMDb or any other location. The overall story is this character named Jung Soo. He's kind of a lonely, isolated kind of character who reconnects with his childhood friend, who soon asks him to do a favor for him by watching over her pet while she goes to vacation. She goes to Africa on vacation, but when she comes back, she brings along a mysterious guy named Ben, who may not have the best intentions for. He may not have the best intentions. The simplest story that I could summarize in the most simplest way possible is kind of a love triangle between three people, where one of them might not be the person that they say they are. That's the simplest way I think I could kind of sum up this story. What my personal opinion of this film, I believe this is one of the greatest mystery films I have ever seen. One of the greatest. And the reason for that, for a mystery film, there's so much mystery, there's so much detail in this film that you may not pick up the first time. You might pick up on a couple of viewings, but still you don't know exactly everything that the film unravels to you. It feels like a complete mystery. The film doesn't give you a lot of details. It doesn't give you a lot of answers. It doesn't give you really anything to really sum up your conclusion as to what's really happening in the film. You can kind of get hints here or there, and that's where most of the film I really appreciate and admire about this movie is the hints, the little details that you could pick up from body language, from little bit pieces of the dialogue to certain things the characters do, to kind of figure out what's actually happening overall. The film doesn't really give you the bigger details as to what's really happening. It gives you hints here, hints there, as a true mystery would do, like Clue. And this is also kind of like a romance, mystery, suspense, thriller with psychological elements to it, where the love triangle is there. Like the first, I would say this film is very long. It's 2.5 hours, and it slowly builds up to the mystery aspects of it. I mean, really, when the film starts off, you do meet two of the characters, the guy and the girl, and you kind of settle in with them as to where their lives at. They're not satisfied with their lives at all. They're not. And then when Ben comes along, where these two characters kind of have some sort of hope from one another, maybe. When Ben comes along, things kind of drift away a little bit, where it seems like there could be like a little love triangle, but then when you watch the film and kind of really kind of like figure out what the characters' motives are, which are kind of a little bit difficult, especially mostly with Ben's. What you originally suspect from the character, you could be wrong. That character might have something else planned up entirely, and you don't know. You don't know. You don't know what really goes on in this film, and that's why I really loved it. You're not feed everything. You're not fed everything. To kind of understand what's happening in the story, you kind of need to just take your time with it to really, if you really try to get invested in, if you really take the time to kind of figure out what's happening, figure out certain social cues or just anything that's happening with these two characters, you kind of pick up like something is really good, something is really wrong with a certain character, or with a certain scene, or just with a certain situation. The cinematography in this is amazing. I don't know who's the cinematographer is, but each frame in this film feels like a painting. There's certain shots in there that really just feels memorable. If not the movie itself is memorable, there are certain shots in here that I think would leave a lasting impact on you. There's a scene in the film where Jong Soo, I believe is, who follows Ben in this like museum or like some sort of dinner, kind of spying on him to kind of figure out what goes on. There's a painting where he's looking at where it's like some sort of like a village that's like on fire or something, and it's very symbolic what's happening in the film. What I think, and I could be wrong, and that's what the fascinating thing about this film is that there's so many interpretations. I mean, there could be really maybe one right one, but I think there could be more. I think there's multiple interpretations. What the film is trying to tell you. And for what I think, because when I was watching the film, just my experience watching this film, it gave me a few impressions. Because when you watch the film, someone is a antagonist, someone is a villain, someone could be a serial killer, and this mostly relies on Ben, but you might have hints on the main character as well. But because when I first watched this, I actually thought the main character was up to no good, but then as the film kind of went on, it really kind of gets you like, okay, maybe he did do something to spoiler, the girl goes missing. There's a moment in the film where the girl, she goes missing. I'm going to explain a little bit of the plot structure of this movie somewhat, but I won't go in detail in the spoiler territory. And I see this film kind of like maybe in 3 parts. The first part's like a half hour, where it's mostly Jong Soo and the girl, and as they try to reconnect. And when the girl comes back with Ben, that's another part, all the way until that led to the girl's disappearance, for this little mystery, like romance, kind of like genre or vibe that you get when watching the film. And then the next part of it is the mystery, okay, whodunit kind of like film, where the film, even as the character that you're following, Jong Soo, you're just as lost as he is. You don't have a lot of information. You feel the lack of information that he is getting. As the audience, you feel what he feels sometimes. You acknowledge what he acknowledges. You kind of sum up your conclusion, kind of like he is, even though you're still unsure exactly what's really going on. And I love that. I love that this film kind of plays tricks on you, because you're not given a certain answer, and I love it. The film is long. It's an hour. Actually, it's 148 minutes, 2.5 hours, and it takes like almost a good hour and 22 minutes of really, I wouldn't say no build up, but it slowly builds up to the moment to where, like, okay, there's a suspected situation that happens, and it leads to the, okay, who done it kind of like mystery film. And this is not your normal mystery film. Because, again, you're not given a lot of details, which is so unique about it. Now, it does draw on your patience a bit when you're trying to figure out where this film is going. It builds up to me kind of like a horror film where you're slowly, psychological horror, where you're slowly kind of just watching it. And when you're watching it, you feel so uneasy. You feel anxiety. You feel disturbed. You feel uncomfortable. Because the more you watch, the more you're curious to know what's going on, but you get this feeling that you don't want to know, and when you find your answer, you're not gonna like what you find, and that's what I really loved about this film. Because there's so many things you don't even know that Ben might be the actual person or the actual antagonist. You don't even know. You could speculate. You can kind of give hints that this person might have done the things he's done, but you don't really know, and that's what I really love about it. Performance-wise, everybody does a great job. Everybody. Steve Yeun. I have to really give it to Steve Yeun on this one, and he's actually been on my radar for a while. Actually, I saw the film Minari. Him in The Walking Dead. He was one of the best actors on The Walking Dead. Minari was awesome. And Sorry to Bother You, this guy is a phenomenal actor, and when he was nominated for Best Actor from Minari, I was hoping he would win. Even though I felt like there was another actor that earned it better, he's an amazing actor. I hope this guy gets all the praise he's coming. That's heading towards him. Man, I am looking forward for seeing him in more movies, and I hope he gets that Oscar someday. The rest of the cast is great too. The guy who plays Jung-soo, this film's phenomenal. I love the direction of this. I loved everything about this film. Again, it does test your patience a little bit. It's 148 minutes. You do need to kind of take your time a little bit to kind of like settle into the story. Maybe they could have cut 15 minutes out of it. I don't think so. I think the purpose of this film is to get you settled into the story, unsettled, uncomfortable, to really kind of like get you invested into the atmosphere, the tone, just everything about this film. I'm looking forward to checking out more mystery films from Korea. I want to see Memoirs of Murder, whatever. Please check this out. It's available on Tubi. Let me know in the comment section below. I love this film. I love it. Check it out on Tubi. Let me know in the comment section below, and please follow me on this